Hey you guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. My name is Cayenne.
And I'm Otis.
And we are married with the Johnsons. So on today, we're going to talk about some of the things that we do and we use to make our marriage work. Because we get asked a lot, like, what's the secret to the whole marriage thing? And it's like, there's really no secret.
Not really.
You just got to find your person and put in the work, really.
And be willing to put in the work.
Right, exactly. And, sometimes people say, oh, y'all make it look easy. Ain't nothing easy about marriage at all. You just got to be willing to put in the work. So on today, we are just going to share the 4c's. We call it the 4c's.
4c's.
That we like to incorporate, in our marriage. And the first one that we're going to be talking about is commitment.
Commitment.
How you feel about commitment, babe?
Commitment, I think, is the foundation of every relationship, because without that, you don't have anything. Commitment to me is ensuring your partner that I'm in this thing for the long ride. I'm only here for you, and that's it. And we're going to do anything to make this thing work.
Absolutely, because, even when we got married and we took our vows, like just taking our vows was the start of really our commitment, towards each other. And, when you're in a relationship and you're in a marriage, it's, you can become uncommitted to a person, but at the same time, if you put in the work, you can continue to be committed, because it's really hard to stay committed, especially if somebody like getting on your nerves or doing something that you don't like. It's easy to say, you know what, I ain't dealing with this, I can go elsewhere and find something else. But when you took your vows and you really respect that person and love that person, it's like, you know what? It's worth it in the end. And I'm gonna ride this thing out.
Absolutely, man. We have to take those vows. We took vows in front of God, and we take that very seriously. That is something that we don't play with. And that's one of the things that I fear most. I fear the wrath of God, because we took an oath in front of him to make sure that this thing lasts long.
Exactly. And even with being committed, you have to make sure you're communicating. So our second 4C that we like to incorporate, in our marriage is communication.
Communication.
I feel like personally, communication is like the number one thing that's important in the marriage, because if you're not communicating, then it's like, what are you doing? You got to keep that line of communication open, and you got to make sure that it's a healthy line of communication, as far as like your tone, your words, your demeanor, like all that stuff matters when you're having, conversations. You got to, that communication got to be strong. And it's not nothing that happens like overnight,
Right.
Sometimes in the beginning, it's like, okay, we ain't really talking to each other, right? You know what I'm saying? So when we talk to each other, we need to talk to each other like this, because other than that, it can come off as, disrespectful. So, you got to learn your person and learn how to communicate with your person, for sure. How you feel about communication, baby?
Well, how I feel about communication is, I believe it's one of the cornerstones of a healthy relationship, because for one, we got to learn how to communicate to one another. Like she said, we got to watch our tone. And most importantly, listen to understand.
Absolutely.
Not just listening to respond. You can't do that. You have to understand where they're coming from so you can respond correctly. And also, like she said, we gotta make sure we keep our tones in check. Make sure we are having a welcoming tone, so that way neither one of us can feel disrespected or unbothered. You know what I mean? Well, not unbothered. We want to feel unbothered by expressing how we feel. We want to always leave that line of communication open, to always express how you feel, no matter what, good or bad.
Right.
Right.
And it's even with communication, sometimes you may feel like right now is not the time to have this conversation. And it's okay. Like if right then and there isn't the time to communicate and you can do it later, cool, that's fine. And sometimes you got to have those conversations right then and there.
Yeah.
And that's fine as well. But one thing I can say is you don't want to go to bed mad.
Absolutely.
You don't want to go to bed harping on feelings when you could have just had a simple conversation about it and maybe cleared the air a little bit, or understood each other a little bit better. So that's why I think communication is definitely important in a marriage, because like I said, if we're not communicating, then what are we doing?
Absolutely. And one more thing that I like to add is most of the time it can be a misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time. And if you just take the time and sit down and talk with your spouse and just see what's really going on in that head of theirs, and you always can get to the bottom of anything that you're dealing with.
Absolutely. And just like my husband was saying when we were talking about, communication, how sometimes you can communicate and you just listen to hear, but you don't listen to understand. And that brings us to our third 4C that we like to use and incorporate in our marriage, which is compassion. Yes. Compassion. We have to really have compassion and be able to understand our significant other and our partner and their feelings. Their feelings. You got to be able to understand their feelings. Because if it bothers them, then it's going to bother you at the end of the day. So just really be compassionate about, how we may make them feel, or how they may feel, because of something that we may have done or something we may have said. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have some type of compassion. And that's what's going to make it work, to know that your partner can see that, my spouse, what?
You are actually being very thoughtful of their feelings.
Exactly. And that you really, really care about, how things might have made them feel. Even if you're not the one that may have made them feel that way. It could be something else that make them feel that way. But just to go to them at that time, and just make them feel like, you know what, it's okay.
It's okay.
We got this. It's okay, babe. We in this thing together. This is that commitment and that communication wrapped up all up in one, because we got this. It's okay. Okay, you guys. So the next 4C that we like to incorporate in our marriage that we're going to talk about is compromise. Being able to compromise. How do you feel about compromising, babe?
I think compromising is very important also, because the simple fact that we as men, we don't know it all. Sometimes your partner is better at some things than you are. And that's when compromise comes into play. So you got to move your ego out of the way, first off. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, my wife, she's very good at planning things, planning trips, getting all itinerary together. And some men feel like, oh man, I got to plan everything. I got to make sure that I do it. And we're going to follow my lead. It's not the case all the time. Sometimes your spouse does things better than you. So that's where the compromise come in. So that's when I be like, you know what, babe? You plan trips way better than I can ever do it. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. And that's just one of the examples of how we compromise in our marriage.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, like, for me, compromise is more like meeting in the middle. Because sometimes, you can have a way that you feel about things, and I can have a way I feel about things. And sometimes we really can meet in the middle, and it all makes sense at the end of the day. It's not like you're right, I'm right, you're wrong, or you're wrong. It's just, we compromise and we're going to do what works best for us at the end of the day. So it's more so of us meeting in the middle and getting what we need to get done, just really getting it done.
Yeah. At the end of the day,
you got to be able to compromise. Because like he said, you can't have no big old ego and think that you're right and this is the only way to go about it, or what I said goes and stuff like that. Because that's when you start running into all kind of problems, all kind of disagreements, because you don't know how to compromise.
Absolutely. And I think I believe that if you don't have some type of compromising spirit,
right,
your relationship and whatever you do is not gonna last, because everything don't roll
your way.
I like what you said, that everything don't roll your way. So
right.
so that's why compromise is very important in a relationship.
Right. And even sometimes when you don't feel like compromising, it's okay to compromise. Like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people are just like, I don't want to compromise. I want it my way. It's okay, boo boo. It's okay. Like, it's okay. So, yes, those are, the 4 things that we like to make sure we incorporate in our marriage to make this thing work. Now, have we always had these things under control? Do we have all these things under control? No. Absolutely not. But we ain't where we used to be. Oh, no. I can say that. And we've come a long way. And as long as we keep on working on these things and incorporating them in our marriage, then we're destined for greatness at the end of the day. So, no, we ain't got it all together. We're getting it together. These are just some things that we use. So at the end of the day, if some of the things that we do to make our marriage work and our relationship work, if you guys can use, these tips and ideas and, stuff like that, then cool. And
another thing that I like to add is, no marriage will work if you don't have God in the center. He has to be there. And that's what keeps us together. That's what keeps us strong. And that's what keeps us striving. Having God in our life.
Right. So, before we end this, this session today, for one, find your person that you could be committed to. Find your person that you want to be committed to for the rest of your life.
Right. That's the
You don't have to settle, but find somebody that you want to be committed to, and make sure they want it. You want to be committed to them, and they want to be committed back to you as well. It got to work both ways. It just can't be one-sided. You know what I'm saying? 2, when y'all do become committed, or before you even become committed, work on that communication.
Absolutely.
You can work on that communication when you're dating. Work on that communication, because that's going to be very, very important. Because sometimes people communicate beautifully in the beginning, and then when things get hard and rough, baby, you start seeing a whole new person. And it's like,
Who are you?
Who are you? Right. You weren't talking to me like that before, so why are you talking to me like that now? Work on that communication always. And always find that spirit of having compassion for your significant other, because just like you need that compassion, they need it too.
Absolutely. Always take their feelings into consideration.
Always take their feelings into consideration, because if it's important, like I said earlier, if it's important to me, it needs to be important to you at the end of the day. And the last thing, we're going to take from this is compromise. It is okay to compromise.
It's okay to let her take the lead sometimes.
Absolutely. It's okay.
And I'm going to lean back. It's all right.
But yes, thank you guys for tuning in today and just hearing us out. And thank you guys for subscribing, liking, and sharing, and being a great support system to our channel. We will be back with some more stuff soon. And like, share, and subscribe.
And also leave a comment in the comment section to let us know what you guys do, what type of tips you guys incorporate into your marriage to make this thing work.
Absolutely. We like comments.
Absolutely. We look forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. We are Married with the Johnsons.
Bye.